So this land of Israel, right? You've been traveling all over this. Thank you. This is amazing. Okay. Land of Israel. Okay. You got the land of Israel. Beautiful, wonderful piece of land. They came in, right? Joshua had his conquest, came in over here, right in the middle of the land, and then they divided up the land. And you're going to see the 12 tribes on the map that's going around. The tribe of Dan had what, if they would have kept it till today, what would have been some of the most valuable property in the entire country. It's where Tel Aviv is. It's where all of the high-tech industry is. It's where we came, the major port. That's the part that was given to them. You can see it's not a very large portion of land, but that's the land that was given to them. However, they settled there and they continue to have problems with the Philistines. Kind of had problems. They had problems, but they had Samson on their side. We know that Samson was from the tribe of Dan, okay? So Samson, we can read about that, I think in Judges about 16 or so. It talks about that Samson, son of Zorah, was from the tribe of Dan, or was a Danite. So we know that he was on their side. He helped them as they were down here. But then we know that after the land was divvied up, they tried to continue to settle. They lose Samson. And now it's hard to stay and be there fighting with the Philistines. First of all, you have evil Philistine women who give haircuts, right, that are not good. So there's a lesson in there. Don't trust a Philistine woman to cut your hair. But they had other problems with the Philistines, and then they had to go up and find a new territory. So I'm going to read this in Joshua chapter 19. It talks about the land being given to them. Then we're going to fast forward to Judges. In Joshua chapter 19, it says, when the territory of the people of Dan was lost to them, the people of Dan went up and fought against Leshem. And after capturing it and striking it with the sword, they took possession of it and they settled in it, calling it Leshem, Dan, after the name of Dan, their ancestors. So again, tribe of Dan, these are the descendants of Dan. They have this place on the coast. The coastal plains aren't working out for them so well. Too many battles, continually fighting. They look for somewhere easier to live, somewhere more, maybe even more lush to live, like this beautiful area that you're surrounded in. And then we read about how then they go seeking new land in Judges chapter 18. In Judges chapter 18, remember this is the time where there are no kings. All the judges are ruling the different territories and the different tribes. And so the tribe of Dan was seeking for itself an inheritance to dwell. For until then they had no inheritance among the tribes of Israel that had fallen to them. So the people of Dan sent 5 able men from whose number of their tribe, 5 men who went forward, and they went to from Zorah and from Ashtal to spy out the land and explore it. So they go and they spy. They go in the hill country of Ephraim to the house of Micah, and they find a priest who's lodging there. Now understand the timeline here, right? They have the tabernacle in Shiloh. You have the 2 different kingdoms that are beginning to form. You have the different types of tribes. And so we're going to learn more about that in 1 Kings. But now they find this priest who's outside, a young Levite who's outside of Shiloh and probably giving lessons, maybe teaching of some kind, making some extra money of some kind. They run into him and they realize that he's outside of the place where he should be. So they say, who brought you here? What are you doing in this place? What's your business here? And he says, well, this is how Micah dwelt with me. He's hired me and I have become his priest. So here's a priest that's displaced. They're out trying this spy venture to find a new place. They realize, hey, there's a priest outside of Shiloh. What's this about? And this begins a downward spiral that's going to be more apparent to us when we study 1 Kings and how they began to worship outside of Jerusalem where they should have been worshiping. So they asked this guy, inquire to God. Ask him if we should go on this journey to continue to file land. He comes back and he says, yes, you should continue. Go in peace, he says. This priest says, go, the journey that you're on, which you're going under, is under the eye of the Lord. So these 5 men say, great. They depart and came to Laish and saw the people who were there. This is the area of Laish, right? Right here on top of the headwaters or the spring that feeds the Jordan. They saw these people who were living there, how they lived in security, pretty secure area, right? We're up high, it'd be pretty easy to secure it. They lived in security after a matter of the Sidonians, quiet and unsuspecting, lacking nothing. that is in the earth, and possessing wealth, and how they were far from the Sidons and had no dealings with anyone. Long story short, they're here, they're in peace, they're lacking nothing. Look at it, it's gorgeous, right? Greenery, it'd be great. They have the water that they need, they can plant all sorts of things. It's an easy place to live, and they really have no enemies, right? They're kind of laid back people, not having to fight. And so these spies go back and they're asked, what do you report? And they said in verse 9 of Judges 18, arise and let's go up against them. We have seen the land, and behold, it's very good. How many of you agree? This is very good land, right? Very good land. Let's go up. It's very beautiful land. And will you do nothing? Do not be slow to go and to enter and possess the land. As soon as you go, you'll come to an unsuspecting people. The land is spacious, for God has given it into your hands, a place where there is no lack of anything that is on earth. So verse 11 says, so 600 men of the tribe of Dan armed themselves with weapons of war and set out from Zorah and Eshtaol and went up and encamped at Kiriathath Jearim in Judah. On this account, the place, and then it goes on to say how the conquest happened. An unbelievable thing, right? They come up to this place and they take over these rather laid back, unsuspecting people who are here in this land. They then start, that's in Judges, they then start the spiral downhill of disobeying in small little ways what the Lord had asked them to do. We see in the Levitical law all sorts of things that he asked them to do. We see other things that he'd been very clear about, what months they're to celebrate, what places they're to worship him. And because they found comfort up here, because they found no real enemies up here, at least for that time, they thought, we got this. Let's settle here and build a place where we can worship. So that's what we're going to see as we move up to the top. So understand, this tribe moves from the coast, comes up here, takes over the land. That's in Judges. And then they continue to live up in the northern part of the land. And they'll be here. You'll see what's up at the top. And they worship God from this place, right? No reason to live. It's all about convenience, beauty. And we'll talk about that more at the top.